shared a slide, handwritten slide. So there, left hand side is the force experienced by charged particle. Right hand side is the force experienced due to electric field, and force experienced due to magnetic field. So we are taking there V cross B. Of course, it is within the bracket V cross B. So if B has to exist, the particle should move. Then it should have velocity. So otherwise, the second part will become zero. So total net force experienced is the force due to electric field and force due to magnetic field. So net force is force, that is I called Fe and Fb, added together, that is the total force experienced by the charge. So if you try to plot in terms of graph, how it looks. So one axis I have taken it as B, let us say x axis, and another one y1 is E. So y I have taken as E. The phase angle between E and B is 90 degrees. Okay. So now the charge is in which plane? EB plane. So that is why I call it as a electromagnetic field. It is electric field is also there, magnetic field is also there. So charge is in electromagnetic field now. Okay. So what is the charge? Q is the charge. Fine. So it is moving with a velocity v. Then naturally it will experience the force F given by the equation just now I mentioned. So now come to the next diagram on the same slide. So down I have shown that electromagnetic wave. So what is the electromagnetic wave? It is a wave which is associated with electromagnetic field. So now I think the meaning of electromagnetic field is clear to you. So electromagnetic field, each point on the wave is varying. Okay. So there is a E vector, there is a B vector. As a photon moves, in which direction the photon moves, in that direction the electromagnetic field is changing. Okay. So now the electromagnetic wave is falling on the charge Q. So the charge will experience the force F, which is given by Fe plus Fb. Okay. So that is why we say that whenever electromagnetic wave falls on a charged particle, the charge will get excited. So it interacts with the charged particle. Okay. So that is what we say, that is electromagnetic spectra and emission of the spectral lines that comes because of this. Fine. So suppose in the above equation, if I take Q is equal to 0, that is the particle moving with a velocity v, we will assume we don't have any charge at all. Okay. So if that is the case, what will happen to the equation? The second part of the equation collapses there. Okay. And even the first part also collapses because Q is 0. So what happens to F? The force experienced by the charge is 0. F becomes equal to 0. That means what is the inference? Electromagnetic wave does not exert any force, do not exert any force on an uncharged particle. This always you should keep in a mind. This is one of the important inferences of Lorentz force. What is the important inference? If the moving particle, it don't have any charge, the force experienced by it, if you keep it in electromagnetic field, is zero. That is, uncharged particles do not interact with electromagnetic field. So what are the uncharged particles we come across in day-to-day life? For example, a photon, it is a particle. Neutron, it is a particle. It don't have charge. If you keep photon in one point and irradiate it with electromagnetic radiation, then nothing will happen. Okay, the photon will remain there only, neither excitation nor de-excitation, nothing will happen. The same thing happens with neutron. So neutron is irradiated with electromagnetic wave or radiation. What are the electromagnetic radiation? Gamma rays, X-rays, light rays. Many number of waves will come under this electromagnetic spectra band, complete band it is. Okay. So neutron and photon, they are not at all affected by the electromagnetic radiation. So instead of that, if I keep an electron, naturally it is a charged particle. So charged particle interacts with the electromagnetic field, it absorbs energy and it excited state, emits the energy, comes back to the natural state. Okay, excitation and de-excitation happens. So the electron may be free or it may be bound. Bound means it may be in a molecule or it may be in an atom. Okay, wherever it is, it interacts with the electromagnetic field. Okay, so that is why when we are exposed to different environments, we'll get excited and de-excited. Sometimes our moods will swing. So why? It is because of interaction of the charged particle in our body with the electromagnetic radiation which is falling on our body. So this yesterday I left half, so I thought of completing it. So now you come to the YouTube I have given to you on Minkowski space. It's a very nice YouTube. So a graph of that I have shown you in the second slide. So first you see the graph, then we'll go and open the YouTube. So you can see I have shown the light cone in the second slide. So x-axis and y-axis. Y-axis is the 4 vector. So 4 vector, you know, Minkowski space vectors are called what? 4 vectors. Why it is called 4 vectors? It has what? 4 coordinates. And why it is called 4 vector? Because all 4 coordinates are vectors. It is called 4 vector. Okay. So if that is the case, let us consider x-axis as one of the axes as one vector and CT, actually it is CT, y-axis is CT, C is taken as 1, unit of measurement, C is taken as 1, okay, then y-axis simply shows you T, okay. So in this one, you carefully observe the slide, I have marked one distance as unit. So if you take a meter scale, on meter scale markings will be there, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, etc. or 1 inch, 2 inch, 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, like that. So like that, x-axis is divided in terms of units. So what is the width of 1 unit? It is equivalent to 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters. Carefully listen what I am telling. The 1 unit value, x unit, 1 unit is equal to how much? 3 into 10 to the power 8. Okay. So only you can depict or see the events which are having a value of x change in the range 10 to the power 8. It may be 3 into 10 to the power 8 is 1 unit. So 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, etc. If the x value changes, then only we can observe the event in Minkowski space. Otherwise, we cannot see in Minkowski space. That is one thing. And another thing is that, so I have shown there two events. One is event 1, another is event 2. The distance between the two events, the event may be, let us say, a photon is emitted. So some time interval it is in point at point 1. After some interval it is at point 2. So I will call the point 1 as event 1 and the photon has moved and reached the point 2. That I will call it as event 2. Okay. So the distance between them I will call it as S. So Minkowski space is the 4 vector. So the distance S is given by S square is equal to x square plus y square plus z square minus c square t square. This is the formula. So I'll show you how this formula comes. One day I'll derive and show you. Okay. You have to take projection and all and you have to calculate that. So if it is undergoing a small change, then the change is given by ds square equal to dx square plus dy square plus dz square minus c square t square. It is okay. So now you see on the cone boundary I have marked it as light. So carefully observe. I am showing different trajectory of the particles. It may be a photon. So photon talks about light. It may be a electron. It may be a deuteron. It may be anything which is moving with velocity of light. So those particle movements are shown in the cone. They can fall in the cone or they can fall outside the cone. Okay. So accordingly, in the last class we have divided the events into number of different units. I called it by different names. What are the different names I have given them? So you catch hold of it. Last class talk. I gave the value Ts square. If it is greater than 0, I call the event as what time like separated. If delta S square is less than 0, I called it as space like separated. And delta S square equal to 0, so I called it as light like separated. That means the object is moving with velocity of light. You see there, delta x by delta t, it is equal to c. So equal to c means what? It will follow the light cone boundary. It will, you can see the figure. I have marked the boundary as light with arrow mark. That means there is a trajectory of photon. That is light. Trajectory of photon is nothing but it is emission of light in that direction. Okay. So now with this basic idea about the Minkowski space. Okay, so you open the YouTube, all of you. I think all of you have got WhatsApp. You have brought your mobile, no? So you open that YouTube and let us see what I have taught here. It is there in this YouTube. How much it will explain my point? Is it okay? So now I am opening my YouTube. You also open your YouTube. Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, open your YouTube.
We can now graph light.
Got it? No, you mute the
okay,
sound.
ma'am.
You mute the sound. Only you see
For this,
the.
we use the distance
You
light
see the
travels
video.
in 1 second for the units on the
Hello?
x-axis.
Hello?
This gives us the line running diagonally up the right side for light moving in the positive direction.
Yes, ma'am.
You mute the
At this
sound.
scale, we cannot distinguish between the speeds achieved by snails,
Okay, you see it.
animals,
See it.
cars, planes, and rockets from the line that represents standing still. Here's the line for protons at the end of the Large Hadron Collider's linear accelerator, traveling at 1/3 the speed of light.
Hello? What happened?
We can now graph light using our space-time coordinates. For this, we use the distance light travels in 1 second for the units on the x-axis. This gives us the line running diagonally up the right side for light moving in the positive direction. At this scale, we cannot distinguish between the speeds achieved by snails, animals, cars, planes, and rockets from the line that represents standing still. Here's the line for protons at the end of the Large Hadron Collider's linear accelerator, traveling at 1/3 the speed of light. And at this scale, the line for protons in the LHC itself is indistinguishable from the speed of light. Now we can run the light line up the left side for light moving in the negative direction. If we then extend the x-axis line to be a plane that we'll use to represent three-dimensional space, we can rotate the light line 360 degrees to create a cone, the light cone. This is the four-dimensional space-time graph. A point on this graph represents an event with 4 coordinates, x, y, and z for space, and t for time. A mathematician named Hermann Minkowski developed the geometry for Einstein's space-time, so you may sometimes hear space-time referred to as Minkowski space. The four-dimensional length of a line in Minkowski space is referred to as proper time or proper distance. Space-time inside the cone is called time-like because the length of connected points have positive proper time. This makes all points inside the light cone reachable. In other words, it is possible for an event at an earlier time within the cone to be the cause of an event at a later time within the cone. outside the cone is called space-like. The proper time of the line connecting a point inside the cone with a point outside the cone will have a negative length. And like the boat example in our speed of light segment, where negative time simply meant that you could not get there from here, so the negative proper time simply means that you cannot get from one of these points inside the cone to the other point outside the cone. In other words, no event from within the cone can ever be the cause of an event outside the cone. If we go back in time, as well as forward in time, we get the full space-time diagram. Here we see that no past event outside the cone can be the cause of any event we see today.
Okay. So he talked about the some events within the cone and some events outside the cone. So what is the difference between the two types of events? So that is proper time. So then what is proper time? So proper time is a time measured in a frame of reference which is at rest. Okay. So now rest means what? It is a reference frame. So reference frame, if you keep a watch and allow it to run as event elapses or event moves, so the time recorded in that frame which is not moving, so then that one we call it as proper time. So now which is reference frame here? In this case our reference frame is Lorentz frame. Sorry, it is Minkowski's reference frame is our reference frame. Okay, so that is why the time axis what we are showing along the y-axis, that is time variation along y-axis, is our proper time. So any event which is happening in this frame of reference, it talks about proper time and proper event. Proper event means it can be observed in Minkowski space. Okay. So if we are not observing it from Minkowski reference frame, then it will go outside the cone. So outside the cone means partially it may be within the cone, partially it may be outside. So he told that time as negative. So at that time what happens? We cannot see the event completely. So as long as we can see it with the t value having a measurable t value, then that part of the event we can see. If t becomes negative, means you are escaping out of the cone. You cannot see that event. That's what he wanted to tell. And there he showed 3-4 types of events. So one is aeroplanes, etc. That is moving objects with a fast moving object. So fast in what sense? It may be fast with respect to the objects which are moving on surface of earth. So for example, let us say I am moving. Let us say 1 meter per second. There may be a car moving 100 meters per second. Okay, there may be a rocket. It may be moving 1 kilometer per second. Okay, so that means with respect to me, the rocket is moving very fast. But it is not fast when we compare the velocities and time, or the time scales and distance scales in Minkowski space. So the variation is in 1 kilometer per second. So that means if you go to the x-axis, what is the value of 1 unit? So 1 unit is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters. So your 1000 kilometers, you cannot even locate within the unit. It is 10 to the power 8 is the length. You want it to be 1000. With what factor you have to divide it? You have to divide it by 10 to the power 5. 5 divisions, 10 to the power 5 divisions you have to make in 1 unit. And then you can locate the position of rocket, what you are doing or what you are measuring on surface of earth. And time is per second. So per second, if you try to point it on the Minkowski's diagram, what happens? All these events, so they are classified as slow movements. So all of them overlap along the y-axis. So that is why he showed a yellow colored line or a vector pointing along the y direction. So next we catched another event, that is deuteron, or any particle which is moving faster. So deuteron and all, if it is we take it as a single particle, so it can move faster compared to the rocket. So the distance per second covered by deuteron is much larger compared to the distance covered by rocket. So as a result, you will have some observable loci. Or loci means what? It is the points joined together. Locus. Loci is singular, locus is plural. It is. Loci means you can locate the position of deuteron at different interval of time. You join all these points. That gives you locus of deuteron when it moves from the origin, that is the cone, point of the cone, to the upwards, that is opening end of the cone. So he showed it by some brown colored line, but it is little bit tilted with respect to y axis. So next he showed light, and he also showed LHC. What is LHC? Linear Hadron Collider. So this was one of the accelerator, linear accelerated, and it was used to accelerate the charged particle. Linear Hadron Collider it is called. And here we should remember one lady. So she is Dr. Rohini Godbole. She is from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. She participated behalf of India in LHC monitoring in CERN laboratory. What is CERN? CERN, CERN laboratory. Okay, she is one of the Indian representative in that delegation. So she came to our college, and PG students, so I think second batch or something. So she delivered a lecture on LHC. So we are having a signature or remark all recorded in our observer book, in this special lecture book. You have attended, that means last month radio astronomy. One of the person he came and gave special lecture. So similar to that, Rohini Kodbole, she came to our college and she gave in the downwards there is a room. What is that room? Computer equipped room is there, no, below. So that EduSat room. In EduSat room, she gave lecture. Really, we should be very much proud of her. Okay. So anyhow, so let us come to the point. So what we were talking? We were talking about Linear Hadron Collider, LHC. So in LHC, charged particles are accelerated, and here acceleration is they have achieved to a level that charged particle will move with velocity of light almost. So that's why we showed LHC particles. If you try to plot in Minkowski space, it overlaps on the light trajectory. So it falls at the edge of the cone. That's what he wanted to say. So other than that, if you go, then it will fall beyond the cone. So that is why we classified into three types. That is delta S square equal to 0, delta S square less than 0, delta S square what that greater than 0. So delta S square equal to 0, the particle we will be moving with velocity of light, they will be at the edge of the light cone. Okay. So delta S square greater than 0, less than 0, one will be inside and one will be outside. Okay. So will be out of the cone. So here I wanted to mention another thing. Only the events happening within the cone are observable with the proper time t. So what is proper time? It is the time measured in a constant, that is stationary frame of reference. Here frame of reference is Minkowski space of reference. It is. Okay. So with this now I think you people have understood what is Minkowski space and what is a 4 vector. Okay. So 4 vector is a vector representation of a vector in which reference frame? In Minkowski reference frame. It has got coordinate as 4 coordinates. It has got any point in Minkowski space. It has got 4 coordinates. 3 are the space coordinates and another fourth one is the time coordinate. So all the vectors we are measuring on Minkowski space, okay, they are called as 4 vectors. So 4 vectors, they are represented by some special notation. For example, I am representing force as the 4 vector in Minkowski space. In Newtonian mechanics, simply we write it as F, but in Minkowski space it is written as F to the power mu. So mu refers to 4 vector. In some books, they will use it as subscript. F, bottom right side, they will put mu. In some books, they write F to the power mu, that is superscript. Anyhow, mu refers to 4 space. Okay, that is 4 vectors. So in this one, if any doubt is there, you can ask me. Otherwise, I will go to the next topic. Yes? Any doubt is there? Hello?
No, ma'am.
Hello? Any doubt?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
You can
No,
continue.
ma'am.
Understood?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You observe that YouTube again and again. You will discover so many new things. So first observation you miss 99%. Second observation you will miss 98%. So you observe it again and again and again. You will rediscover so many points. Okay. So finally, after so many observations after YouTube, you will understand the point very clearly what he is trying to mention. So now with this, we are going to the mathematical part of 4 vectors. This is one of the difficult part of electrodynamics. So that is why I am slowly peeling the banana and make you to eat. Slowly I am teaching you. Okay. So here one thing always you should remember, there are two frames. One is the inertial frame, another is the non-inertial frame. The inertial frame is constant, it is not moving. Okay, non-inertial frame, it is moving. So non-inertial frame means it do not follow the laws of mechanics. That is the definition. So whatever length, time, mass, whatever you measure in that, so they are called as proper length, proper time, etc. That is absolute value it is. Absolute means truth. So if you go to non-inertial frame, let us say it is moving with velocity v or velocity c, as in case of Minkowski space reference frame, it is moving with some velocity, then the length measured or time measured, they are not absolute. Okay, so that is called apparent value. Apparent means it appears as correct, but it is not correct. Apparent means observed value. Absolute means it is the true value. So absolute values, they are called as proper. Proper means correct there. So proper length, proper time, etc. Whatever you are measuring in the inertial frame, they are assigned with the prefix of proper. So proper is the absolute value. Okay. So that means now we are having two time scales now. If I am talking about time. So one time I can measure in the inertial frame, so that I call it as proper time. So that inertial frame I am taking it as Minkowski reference frame. So time is denoted by tau. So you can go to the next slide, that is derivation part, force 4 vector. You open that in WhatsApp. So I have shown that two reference, what is this one? Coordinate axis, two inertial frames I have shown that. So one is moving with velocity, that is moving with velocity of light. That means it is Minkowski space it is. So for any person, he is moving inside it with velocity of light. But because he is sitting inside the reference frame, for him it looks it is not moving. So he takes that as the, what is that, inertial frame. So inertial frame, their time measured is designated it as tau. It is called as proper time. So another frame of reference, I will take Lorentz frame or any Galileo Newtonian frame, whatever it is, I will take, because Lorentz is the latest updates in the non-Minkowski space. So I will take it as Lorentz frame. So time measured, I will take there as t. Okay, it is not proper time, it is a variable time. And here you can see it is moving with velocity v, but it is not equivalent to c. I have written that v not equal to c. That means there are two reference frames now. One is Minkowski reference frame and another is the Lorentz frame. Both are moving. But what is the difference? In the Minkowski space, you are sitting. So that means you are inert, inertial. That means you are ideal. So you are moving, but you don't know you are moving. Okay. But you are observing the other frame. That is a Lorentz frame. So for you, it looks moving with a velocity, but velocity is what? It is very less than velocity of light. Okay, so that is why the changes observed in Lorentz frame you cannot notice in Minkowski space, because Minkowski space only it registers those events which are occurring at a speed of light. Okay, anyhow, so there are two reference frames. So one has got a proper time tau, another has got a time t. So now with this definition, how to define force in a Minkowski space? So what is force? It is rate of change of momentum. Okay. So dou p by dou t. It is in Newtonian mechanics. But if you go to Minkowski space, how you will write? Here p is a 4 vector here. What is the 4 vector? It is a vector measured in Minkowski space with 4 coordinates. So it is called 4 vector. So that is why I am writing p as p mu. Fine. So time is taken as tau because it is the proper time in Minkowski space. Okay. So now what is the connection between tau and t? Okay. So if you want to convert a proper time into improper time, so the connection is Lorentz factor will come into existence. That is dou by dou tau. It can be written as gamma times dou by dou t. They will be in the ratio of gamma always. Okay. So with this now, if you want to convert tau into t, so what you can write? Dou mu divided by dou tau, it is equal to gamma times dou p mu divided by dou t. So p mu will remain same. Only I am changing the time coordinate. I am moving from tau to t. That is proper time to improper time. Absolute value to apparent value. I am moving. Okay. So here p mu is called 4 vector. Okay. So what is the 4 vector? Just now we have discussed. It is a vector having 4 coordinates. So out of that, 3 will be the Cartesian coordinate and 1 will be the time coordinate. So because it is a momentum vector, so 3 Cartesian coordinates will be px, that is momentum measured along x, momentum measured along y, momentum measured along z. Px, Py and Pz. These are the 3. What is that? Cartesian coordinate. And time coordinate, you are writing it as E by C. So why you are writing E by C? So because the particle is moving with velocity p. Let us say the mass of the particle, I will take it as m. So what will be its energy? Equivalent of mass, it is mc square, isn't it? So if you divide mc square by c, so what is that? Mc is left. What is mc? Mass into velocity. Mass into velocity means what? It is momentum. Okay. That is why the first coordinate I am writing it as E by C. Okay. And the remaining 3 I am writing it as Px, Py and Pz. So with this now I will define the force. So what is force? Just now we defined. It is gamma times dou p mu divided by dou t. You give some number to that equation and you substitute for p mu from this definition of p mu just now I explained. Okay. So what it will result? It will result gamma times dou by dou t bracket E by C comma Px comma Py comma Pz close the bracket. So now you have to differentiate each parameter which is appearing in the bracket with respect to time. So instead of writing Px, Py, Pz 3 times, I can use a general momentum factor, that is P. So P is a total momentum factor. So what it is? It is Ips plus Jpy plus Kpz. It has got 3 momenta components, one along x, one along y, another along z. So that means my equation will become still small. So instead of px, py, pz, I will simply write it as p. So what is the fourth factor now? It is gamma times dou by dou t bracket e by c times p close the bracket. Okay. So now you differentiate it. So if you differentiate it, what will happen? 1 by c is a constant. You take it outside. The first factor is dou e by dou t, and second factor it is dou p by dou t close the bracket. So this is the fourth force 4 vector. It is a vector. So what vector it is? 4 vector. So what's the 4 vector? It is a vector represented in Minkowski space. So how force is represented in Minkowski space? It is represented as F mu. Okay, what is F mu? It is gamma times bracket I 1 by C dou E by dou T comma dou P by dou T. So that is why in future